Welcome back to B-List Exists. Today we're gonna continue on our The Downfall of One Piece, Part 1 by
Our
Dritz.
torture never ends.
Particularly elated since it's the spooky month in this peak of the spookies. So
Sure,
let's
let's.
get the horror fest going, shall we? Need to get it that
Where were we
water.
at last time?
World building, Oda and his editors. At the start of the new segments.
And all of that is
Well, that's fine.
one variable of several
I
that
should have said I started. I'll wait till you're ready, then we can continue.
Specifically, what time were we at last time?
2 hours, 31 minutes, and 43 seconds.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna. Can you hear the audio over the stream?
Yeah, I can hear the audio.
Just making sure an extra layer of I don't know what to call it, but it will help in getting the connection. Okay, I'm gonna start now.
and all of that is one variable of several that lead me to conclude that Oda's world building and thought process of writing have compromised what he's trying to write. There is a term that was created for authors that struggle with some of the things that Oda has problems with, and that term is world builder's disease. World builder's disease occurs when the control over a created world has lost its balance to the point where the author's ability to tell the story has been hampered. And since this is world builder's disease, you can surmise that this happens most often in genres and stories that prioritize creating places to entrance its audiences. Science fiction and fantasy have a lot of this. I'll lay out a series of things that lead me to believe that this term applies to Oda. Since entering the New World, Oda has confirmed that he has combined numerous arc ideas together due to a lack of time in being able to do both ideas. Punk Hazard is a combination of two islands that the Straw Hats were supposed to visit, one of fire and one of ice. Dressrosa is also a combination of two islands, an island of love, which is basically just regular Dressrosa as we know it, and an island for the Tontatas. Originally, the Straw Hats were supposed to visit these islands separately, which might make some sense for some of you who had questions as to why the Tontatas were even in Dressrosa. Since releasing this
You wanna pause
information,
for a moment?
Yeah, I was gonna pause.
I never came across this info whatsoever. Has anyone else come across this info of him mixing islands together?
Nope.
Never heard of this before. This is literally new information.
Shall we look
I-
this bad boy up?
Sure.
That
You know
would
what?
be
We could, but
Yes,
why
please look
didn't
that
he
up.
cite his sources? Why didn't he cite his
That would be-
sources?
citing sources requires work apparently. You could just spout out whatever you want.
I spelled combine wrong.
What do you spell combine?
Yes, I spelled
I'm not
combine
seeing
with a
anything.
B.
Combining arcs, Reddits, or sounds.
Let's look up the Reddit. So in a recent interview with Oda, he revealed that he was forcing himself to combine a lot of arc ideas he had in order to shorten things. Alright. Trailer bark.
I did find an article on it, so there does seem to be some corroboration, but it's only someone's translation of the notes of the page. It's not actually of the actual interview.
No. Now that's sick. I'm getting off track here.
Alright, so Oda combined arcs. Now, what's the problem
Wait.
here?
Did it go into details of which arcs, or I'm trying to think what could they have done on a single island of ice or an island of fire? Because then which one would have?
Said Punk Hazard and Dressrosa, so I'm guessing it must be in the time skip.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out
not mentioned.
if that's the case, which island would have Caesar been on?
Probably still the ice one. But I feel like this is more a semantics thing. 'Cause it's like, oh, there's supposed to be one island of fire and one island of ice, but they weren't gonna be two separate arcs. It was just gonna be Punk Hazard, but instead of one island that's half and half, it's two islands.
I'm guessing Smiley was supposed to be
Then
in the burning side.
Yeah,
Smiley was the secret main antagonist, but they had to shorten
no-
that arc down.
nothing really changes if they're on two if they're on two separate islands.
Also,
well, the only thing that changed.
just because he had to shorten things down doesn't mean the plot is any, you know, any better,
That's
worse.
that's what I was gonna say next. Is it's like, okay, Oda shortened the arcs. What's the problem? Like, oh, the Tontatas weren't supposed to be on Dressrosa. Okay, but they never felt out of place. They're just
Maybe
a
because they
part
didn't give
of.
enough. Maybe because they didn't give enough content to complain about. Then
Just because he
They're just
put a limit on himself doesn't mean it's a bad thing, which is a little hypocritical since he said something about Oda over lengthening the story of One Piece. So wouldn't shortening arcs be a good thing?
Yeah, if he is condensing arcs, this will be better because this guy would be trying to argue that this would be better if Dressrosa was longer, potentially.
Really digging that Bon Lake costume. But that's off topic. Okay, I'm gonna start 2 hours, 33 minutes, and
wait, before you go, who here has heard of World Builder's disease?
no.
I've heard of poor world building, but never heard of world builder's disease.
I think he's just inventing terms again.
I mean, just because we haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Because like the way he described his criteria, that's pretty much any story that basically does a little bit of going into the world itself. It's not primarily stuck to just fantasy and sci-fi.
Oda hasn't updated this list, so it's hard to say if more arcs should be on there. Whole Cake Island and Wano might be things that I would point to as being potential candidates due to how convoluted they are, but as you can see, Oda has a hard time letting go of things. Candidates due to there. Whole Cake Island and Wano might be things that I would point to as being potential candidates due to how convoluted they are, but as you can see, Oda has a hard time letting go of things. In fact, Oda himself has admitted to his inability.
Wait, can you pause?
Who's Oda? Which one of these guys are Oda?
I can only imagine the one with hair.
Is the guy with the denim named Eiichiro supposed to be Eiichiro Oda?
No, I mean, he added a U for some reason, so it's supposed to just be H Rhoda.
Maybe the person who designed the jacket got mixed up and added the U by accident.
Or maybe the person that put this image in is a complete nonce.
This is literally just a bad Photoshop job by Dritz to make a haha funny. It's like, oh, that's not Oda. Isn't that funny?
This is not Photoshop. This is
Even though he himself used a not used a picture of not Oda.
This is not Oda
Noda.
again. This is a second Noda squared. This man needs to get his work right.
To do this.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, he was talking about Whole Cake and Ano, like, is he, so the Straw Hat should have been visiting each individual sweet island? You trying to say that?
I think so.
Maybe.
Because
Who knows?
on that part, I'm, like, questioning the most, because, like, they're just there for Sanji. Why should, like, and why is it even worse that he had to combine all the islands there when that's Big Mom's territory?
Nah, whole cake convoluted. End of sentence.
Yeah, he really doesn't like Whole Cake for whatever reason.
And
It could
then
just
there's
be
Wano,
plastic
like,
shade.
then there's also him talking about Wano, but, like, what exactly does not fit in Wano? Everything, all the stuff that's happened so far, all the errors we see, it pretty much, like, an example would have been nice, but I guess that's too much to ask for.
Or just too much to ask for. He gives examples.
Who needs proof? They can say whatever they want and let the audience believe it.
Convoluted. There, done, said it. There, it's proof now.
World Builder's disease, am I right, guys?
Like the
Best is
like the saying Super Saiyan curse. Man,
World Builder's Curse.
the world builder's curse. Alright, it's 2 minutes, 33 seconds. I mean 33 minutes.
2 minutes. Oh God, we're back at the beginning.
Anywho, 2 minutes 33, 21 seconds. I said minutes again. Whatever.
And he says he wants to get better at it. Oda is a prideful man, like all authors. And he's someone who genuinely loves the world he's created, and he wants to
that's the
show it
image of
off to as
Oda.
many people as possible. And that's one of the reasons why Oda runs into these issues. Oda is looking at the tree and not the forest. But what I'm saying here is not that combining ideas is bad. Blanket statements like that don't really exist because the proof is in the pudding.
You just said
The
that.
process of combining ideas leads to the creation of more convoluted plot points and storytelling in order to create an environment for the combined ideas to live, right? And this combination...
What? What was so convoluted about whole cake?
We'll never know.
There never has been really anything convoluted in One Piece, I would say. There's just been a lot of ideas. Like, there's not anything that we can say it's just like, oh God, I'm saying like too many times. But there's nothing really complicated in One Piece that we would need to get our heads around or spend lots of time thinking to understand the very concept of. Like, everything's fairly straightforward.
And what he's putting here is a pretty
Have you considered Whole Cake is convoluted?
no.
All right then, press play.
But I'm pretty sure what he's gonna
Also-
say putting one idea and another idea together is gonna make it more convoluted.
Wait,
the process
also,
of...
just a. This is just a critique of his math skills. 20 plus 15 does not equal 50 unless he's trying to say those ideas somehow add and make more than what they originally are.
33
Using
minutes,
numbers isn't...
47
using
seconds.
Sorry, just one thing to add. Using numbers is not a great thing as an argument because numbers aren't really convoluted. They're really straightforward. If you're just adding numbers, you're just putting one and one together.
Yeah, but it's just an example.
Not a good one.
We don't even know what he's trying to say.
Let's check the video out and see what he has to say.
combining ideas leads to the creation of more convoluted plot points and storytelling in order to create an environment for the combined ideas to live, right? And this combination can make things even longer than they would have been if they were just separate. Which makes sense. The more you have to think and create to make two things coexist means that the attention and direction of the narrative needs to become larger in order to compensate. But the process of combining arcs can be a double-edged sword. Like all things in life, there are pros and cons to doing anything. The pros for this, combining, can be many. It can make arcs have more depth, have more meaningful moments in them, the themes can be more complex, the stakes and what the arc means to the story at large can also
pause for a
Is
second.
he saying Water 7 and Ennie's Lobby was a combo mash arc? 'Cause that's what he's putting on the screen, so I can only presume.
Yeah, but he's put a lot of things on screen that he doesn't really mean or had nothing to do with what he was saying.
Even though they are distinct arcs, you can easily say
They are distinct arcs which have. Yeah, it's like. Continue.
tell it to being
I
one
wanna
of
see
the
his
best
bad
arcs
example.
in the story. But if you mess up, the cons can be just as harmful. Instead of adding depth to an arc, it can be the case of subtraction by addition. You can make readers feel like it's a waste of time. You can lower the overall quality of your story if you mess up. The more important something is, the harder the fall is whenever you mess up.